Hello, dear viewers. Today we will talk about one of the most famous and controversial leaders in African history, Idi Amin. Who was he and how did he become the dictator of Uganda? What events and factors contributed to its rise and fall? What consequences of his rule remain for Uganda and Africa to this day? We will try to answer these and other questions in our video. So, Idi Amin was the dictator of Uganda from 1971 to 1979, who seized power in a military coup against President Milton Obote. His reign was characterized by massacres, violence, corruption and economic crisis. He was one of the most brutal and eccentric leaders in African history. Idi Amin was born in 1925 into a farming family from the Kakwa ethnic group in northwestern Uganda. He received an incomplete secondary education and worked as a cook and security guard. In 1946, he enlisted in the Royal African Fusiliers, a British colonial regiment in East Africa. He quickly rose through the military ranks thanks to his physical strength, charisma and loyalty to the British. Uganda gained independence from Britain in 1962 with Milton Obote as its leader. Obote pursued authoritarian and socialist policies that caused discontent among the population and the opposition. Idi Amin was appointed commander of the Ugandan army in 1966 and supported Obote in suppressing the uprisings and consolidating power. However, over time, disagreements arose between them over the economy, foreign relations, and the ethnic composition of the army. Obote accused Amin of embezzling public funds and planned his arrest. Idi Amin learned of his impending arrest and decided to act first. On the 25th of January 1971, while Obote was in Singapore for a Commonwealth summit, Amin launched a military coup with British and Israeli support. He captured key installations in the capital Kampala and declared himself president and supreme commander of the army. He promised to bring back democracy, freedom of the press and human rights, and to respect the constitutional kingdoms that Obote had abolished. His coup was greeted with relief and approval by many Ugandans who hoped for a better future. However, it soon became obvious that Idi Amin did not keep his promises and behaved like a crazy despot. He carried out bloody purges of soldiers from rival ethnic groups, and his brutal security forces suppressed any discontent and acted with impunity. He expelled the Ugandan Asian community numbering tens of thousands without warning and distributed their wealth and property among his people. His administration was chaotic, and atrocities were committed by individuals loyal to him and operating outside the vestiges of the law. Between 1971 and 1979, several hundred thousand people died as a result of his tyranny, and many Ugandans fled the country. Idi Amin lost the support of his allies and faced internal and external resistance. In 1978, he invaded neighboring Tanzania in an attempt to expand his territory, but was repulsed by the Tanzanian army, which had allied with Ugandan rebels. In 1979, his regime was overthrown and he was forced to flee the country. He took refuge in Libya and then in Saudi Arabia, where he lived until his death in 2003. He was never brought to justice for his atrocities and left behind a difficult legacy for Uganda and Africa. Idi Amin created a cult of personality for himself, calling himself various titles such as His Excellency the President of Eternity, Field Marshal Al-Haji Doctor, and Lord of all the beasts of the earth and the fish of the sea. He loved to display his power and wealth, wearing colorful medals and uniforms, driving luxury cars and planes, and giving expensive gifts to his guests and wives. He was also known for his eccentric sayings and actions, such as proposing to join the Commonwealth as King of Scotland, claiming to have supernatural powers, and accusing Israel of trying to kill him with sexually transmitted diseases. Idi Amin gradually lost the trust and support of the international community due to his brutality, instability, and aggression. He severed relations with former allies such as Britain and Israel, and supported anti-Western and anti-colonial movements in Africa and beyond, such as the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the Irish Republican Army, and the Uganda National Liberation Army, which fought against him from neighboring countries. His actions caused condemnation and sanctions from the UN, the Organization of African Unity, and other regional and world organizations. Idi Amin was one of the most famous and controversial leaders in African history, who left a deep mark on the memory and destiny of his country and continent. His reign was a symbol of cruelty and lawlessness. Idi Amin was an example of how military power and ambition can lead to violence and destabilization, and how difficult it is to confront and punish such rulers. His story also shows how important it is to consider the historical, political, and cultural context in which different leaders operate and how they influence international relations and cooperation.